In April of 1885, a respected, although somewhat controversial local figure and lawyer, Kirk J. Boneshire, lobbied for a road in Chillicothe to be named after a Confederate hero, George Pickett. Nathan Hampton, a lawyer and philanthropist, found this gesture to be petty, especially after the Civil War, and he counter-lobbied for the very same road to be named Pettibone Road, as a symbol of Southern resentment that could still be found even in the North. And so it is. The Pettibone Road still exists and is traveled on to this day. This road hadn't held any significance until Mr. Hampton acted as resistance to Mr. Boneshire's beliefs. Boneshire, the following June, again lobbied for a road's name to be changed. Not far from Pettibone Road, but this time the road already had a history. He successfully changed McCook Road to Jackson Road. The Fighting McCooks were a family of generals in the Union Army, Ohioans no less. So to rename it after Stonewall Jackson was the highest insult. And while the motion carried, Mr. Boneshire's fame grew into infamy, and many lost respect for him. Mr. Hampton, never being above a conflict, knew just how to respond. He lobbied for Pettibone Road to be renamed Pettibone Road, just changing the Y to an I. City Council again passed this unanimously. The continued insinuation that the respected figure Mr. Boneshire was in fact petty and hot-tempered put fuel on the fire. Legend has it, Mr. Hampton showed up in the Stonewall pub, Mr. Boneshire's regular haunt, to congratulate him and shake his hand on successfully renaming McCook Road. This, of course, was a joke. Mr. Boneshire was laughed out of his favorite bar by like-minded people. That August, Mr. Boneshire tried to bribe members of the city council to rename Pettibone Road to Civil Road to the tune of $250. This wasn't successful, but Mr. Hampton stood on a soapbox in the middle of Pettibone Road and lobbied for the name to be changed as well, to uproaring laughter. He then donated $250 in Mr. Boneshire's name to a local homeless shelter. By November, Mr. Boneshire's business had completely dried up. He was living on savings, which were quickly running out. Mr. Hampton had since purchased a house on Pettibone Road. Mr. Boneshire knocked on the door to Mr. Hampton's house, in the coldest winter Ohio had faced since the founding of the country. When Mr. Hampton opened the door, he was challenged to a pistol duel. Mr. Boneshire, after all of this, couldn't understand why Mr. Hampton declined. He also didn't understand why no one found it funny when the following morning, in the freezing cold, he stood on a soapbox with the dead body of Nathan Hampton propped up against it, in the middle of Pettibone Road, yelling in a sarcastic tone, "We must find the murderer of my dear friend Nathan and bring him to justice."